Everyone, welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts video, and I know I'm a little bit late on this, but I do want to talk about this a lot. So this will be sort of an analysis video. At the same time, this would be a discussion of this trailer. For a trailer with such little footage shown, like they honestly, like if you were honestly trying to look for any sort of gameplay in this trailer, there's just barely any. But they definitely did show a lot and what could be in the future for Kingdom Hearts 4. Now, I reacted early this morning, and it was honestly very late, and I stayed up very late. So, again, my bad if I'm late on uploading this, because I had to go to sleep, get re-energized and all that sort of stuff, and be in a mood to create this video. But here I am. I'm just still crazy about this, but in this discussion and analysis video, I guess we're just gonna run down through the whole trailer. I don't be pausing here and there, just go straight to the point and talk about it. So let's just play it right now. So again, with the opening phrase in here. Now, I didn't say it when I was reacting to the video, but this is very meta of the Kingdom Hearts team to do, of saying, if this isn't the ending you desired, if it brings you despair, then leave this world for another. Your options are endless. Now, I don't want to sink into this, like, heavily, because I don't think it's that deep, but I find it really funny how this is the way it's phrased, and knowing that the KH team, along with Nomura, had a huge backlash for KH3 because it was like a mixed bag for the audience. And for myself, I honestly enjoyed KH3 for what it was, whether it was the base game or DLC. I enjoyed both, but I definitely understand why some people didn't necessarily enjoy it. But I thought this was hilarious that this was in literally the first few phrases, the first few lines within this freaking trailer, because they're kind of calling out the haters out there, you know? Now again, this also involves with the story, so again, it's not as deep, but to me, I saw it as them calling out the haters, you know? And I just found it so ironic. It was great of them to do it. I appreciate that. Now here, as we go on to the next one, this is very old school and very Versus 13 like, right? When I first read this line, the heart resides within the soul, which in turn is guided by faith to its rightful place. They never say soul in a Kingdom Hearts game. I feel like that's a bit going to a darker place for Kingdom Hearts, but I know, like, obviously with the Kingdom Hearts lore, it is already a pretty dark storytelling. It's just kind of sugar-coated with Disney stuff and the heartwarming themes in these games. But when they saw this, I definitely got a lot of Versus 13 vibes, or like old school Kingdom Hearts vibes. And I'm probably going to show like an example like later in this video, or I mean probably now. I'm just going to edit it. But yeah, I thought that was like very interesting of how they worded it again with the phrasing. I think what's unique about this trailer is the phrasing of how they're already putting this, right? If we're looking at this in a story perspective, right? Because they're talking about if the ending isn't what you desired, they're talking about what happened in Kingdom Hearts 3 with Sora not accepting his faith. It really connects with the whole ending of like what Sora did in Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay, I'm gonna hop straight into this, okay? So here, I obviously did not think... I had no clue what was going on when I first saw this, okay? I just thought, wow, pretty graphics, and I don't know what Square Enix is trying to show us, but they show us a forest, right? And you could say, like, oh, it's sort of like a tech demo showcase, and obviously it looks beautiful. And I'll show you guys later. Hold up, let's just show this whole scene. And then, yeah, moves into the chessboard. The choice is yours once more. Telling Sora you could do it again. You just have to fight it. You know, see, I like the phrasings of like how they again brought this up. But yeah, let's move on to this. So this exact frame. Kingdom Hearts fans are so quick to this because I honestly would not know at all. I wouldn't notice because of how blurred everything is. Like the attention is here, right? It's focused where like the grass is, or where the little bushes are. But then if you look here, it's like a machine. Like everything is, you could tell what's a rock and stuff, but this is literally different. This is not a rock. It's completely something else. And people on Twitter are now speculating that Star Wars may be in Kingdom Hearts 4. And if this is true, and I always said this for the longest time, I think before the Kingdom Hearts 3 release, is that if Star Wars gets into Kingdom Hearts, I think it's the greatest idea that they could ever do, because Star Wars honestly has the same themes of Kingdom Hearts with the whole light and darkness stuff. But the thing is, they have to execute it right. Now, I'm gonna get into this tweet. Let's zoom in. Shout out to Audrey again. Audrey is so clutch with all this information that she gets, because she also translates stuff from Japan, because obviously this 20th anniversary event was only exclusive in Japan, and those who were participating in that certain event. But she was able to get a lot of information out of that. But obviously this is all speculation on the web when they saw the trailer, and she said this exactly looks like the forest of Endor from Star Wars. See, so this is the left, so this is the Kingdom Hearts shot, and this is from Star Wars. And there was also another tweet that she mentioned that, like, obviously, so she lives in Japan, and she's saying all this sort of stuff, like how in Japan we don't really have these redwood trees around of what they shown in the trailer. And that really kind of leans on to this of having the AT machines like roaming around in that trailer, or at least parked in that trailer. So she shows another example showing left is from the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, showing the waterfall. The waterfall is like a huge landmark within this planet in Star Wars, and the right is from Battlefront. So as we go here from Kingdom Hearts, the Kingdom Hearts trailer, and then from here from Battlefront 1, how very similar is that? That is just crazy. And then yeah, she's spotting the foot of how it's very similar to the AT machine here. And it makes sense. It really does make a lot of sense of how, like, people are assuming this. Like, I don't blame them. Like, I'm not gonna jump into a conclusion and say like, oh, Star Wars is in Kingdom Hearts, but like, as someone who has covered Kingdom Hearts for like the longest time, Square Enix and the Kingdom Hearts team is known to make this. They're always known to put this sneaky type of stuff in the game. So I wouldn't be, in the trailers. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually all real. So let's continue on. I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but hypothetically speaking, if the whole Star Wars was real, right? If that little tease was real from the trailer, and we actually do get a Star Wars world in Kingdom Hearts 4, if Star Wars exists, right, Marvel can as well. And it totally makes sense because it fits perfectly for Kingdom Hearts 4, to be exact, because Nomura is going for a realism in Kingdom Hearts 4, right? Like a fantasy-like game clashing into reality. Like, that was the purpose of creating Kingdom Hearts 4. He emphasized that a lot in the 20th anniversary event. And it really makes sense a lot, because if you actually follow the lore within of what happened in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, in the ending of Remind, along with Memory of Melody, literally they talked about Quadratum as a world of fiction, or as another term they would want to call it as the unreality of that particular world. Hopefully I'm phrasing that right, but that's what they said. They said Quadratum is literally a whole nother place of unreality, like a whole nother area, another side of the world, of our reality, of this unreality, if that makes sense. I'm sorry if I'm like literally confusing you guys. And again, the whole world of fiction and unreality stuff literally makes sense and fits the theme for this game's like purpose, for its development. So having the other side of Disney IPs such as Star Wars and Marvel makes a lot of sense. And I talked about this on my tweet. I said it on my tweet that literally if Star Wars is real, Marvel can be real, and we could potentially have Spider Sora. Like, that's gonna be so awesome. Peter Parker and Sora swinging together. Like, literally Sora swings with his Keyblade. We saw it in the trailer. He swings with his Keyblade via the grappling hook keychain. Just something to think about. So, back in the day when I was a kid and when I first experienced Kingdom Hearts 2, I always loved their CGI cutscenes, right? To the opening and to the ending of like Kingdom Hearts. They were the most beautiful CGI cutscenes I ever seen. Like cinematically, is that even a word? Or the cinema, like the presented in those cutscenes or like in the opening or in the ending, are the most beautiful things I've seen in a video game when I was a kid. Like, you know how big that was in 2005 or 2006? I haven't seen a game so artistically beautiful like that. And seeing this and, you know, this trailer and now this cutscene, or I mean not this cutscene, this in-game graphics, I think it's wild how this Sora here that we're seeing is literally looks like the CGI cutscenes from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. That's how crazy we're far in technology. And I think what's even wild about this is that like the childhood in me is just so impressed because I wanted a Kingdom Hearts game like this. I love this art style. I think that's what I really admired too when I was a kid, is the Final Fantasy looking art style that Square Enix gives in its CGI in Kingdom Hearts. And now this truly looks like a whole modern, like in terms of its art style and graphics, it literally looks like a whole modern Final Fantasy game. This presentation is really good, man. Like, it's just insane. You could even see Strelitzia's like skin, you know, like the what's the phrase? The pores or the texture of her skin, you know? I think that's insane. And what's wild is that this is only the early development stages of this game. Like, this isn't even the polished version. And if you follow the Kingdom Hearts 3 development cycle, and seeing the trailers throughout 2013 to 2018, there's such a huge improvement throughout the years of how the game looks. At first, of how KH3 looked, it didn't look great at all, and everyone was worried about that. But when KH3 came out, the game looked beautiful. Okay, focus on what she's saying as well here. I don't know if I really want to talk about the story. The story's still a bit vague, other than like, yeah, you've been asleep since you arrived to this world in 7 days ago. And I assume is when, after what Yozora did to Sora, which Yozora crystallized Sora in the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, and that made Sora asleep or transported to Quadratum. This game's so beautiful, man. This is Quadratum. Listen to what she's saying. It's a world full of life, but for you and I, it's similar to an afterworld, I suppose. So like somewhat of an afterlife or a second chance at life. But I know... Okay, I said this in my reaction video. I highly recommend y'all watch it as well. I mean, it's just me being hyped and you hearing monkey noises, but like the thing that I immediately noticed or thought about in this game, I mean in this trailer, is I was like, it's a world full of life. I was like, oh, is Kingdom Hearts 4 actually going to be open world? And I talked about this before. I talked about it on my Twitch stream like literally a few weeks ago, because someone brought one of my viewers brought up like about Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, we were just talking about its development and what Kingdom Hearts can do in the future to be fun, or what it could do to improve. And I ended up saying like I wouldn't be surprised if Kingdom Hearts actually goes for an open world experience in their game, especially how in Kingdom Hearts 3 they were trying to push that open world experience, but unfortunately they sort of, I'm not gonna say failed, but like it didn't seem like it was their intention to make an open world. That's why, but it seemed that they sort of they attempted, or they sort of wanted to make it vast and interactive with the environments in Kingdom Hearts 3. They tried to like go for that sort of attempt, not necessarily go for an open world, but they wanted to make like a vast land that you could interact with in Kingdom Hearts, as while they're maintaining that linear level design format that they usually do in the previous games, which is honestly just fine. I don't mind if the game is linear or not, as long as the game is fun in some shape or form. But when she mentioned that, I was like, wait, is this game actually going to go open world? Because that's what a lot of these Japanese games are going for now, right? It all started with Breath of the Wild, and now we have Elden Ring, right, with a full-on open world experience. And obviously we have other games, like you could even say Shin Megami Tensei, like I think Shin Megami Tensei 5, like there's sort of like an open level experience that you could do. The whole Yakuza series sort of does it as well. It's not necessarily open world, but it's an open level experience where you're still able to interact with the environment and go through it, and still go through the game like it's lively, you know. And Kingdom Hearts might go open world, and that's also sort of a big concern, because after what happened with Kingdom Hearts 3, because I always said this, I was like, the reason why Team Osaka didn't seem like they didn't manage to hit everyone's expectations is just because they were still trying to learn how to utilize the Unreal Engine, learn it, and also find that niche, have that sweet spot for the game of how they can make the game really engaging and fun, right? It was also their first ever title, big title within the franchise. Like that was their first ever big console game in the series, because they're known to only make the portable games. So with KH3, it was very impressive for them to make that great quality of a game. And now that, like I always said, like, oh, Kingdom Hearts 4 is gonna be fun in the future because Team Osaka is now really, really experienced, especially what they went through with Kingdom Hearts 4. They could really improve a lot of stuff. But now that they're being more innovative or ambitious with this project, I guess they're going for maybe potentially an open world experience. And Square Enix sort of has this past of not making the greatest open world experiences. You know, they attempt to, but you know, and I'm kind of worried of that, because now that they have the whole combat and gameplay down for the Kingdom Hearts series, they're deciding to now just focus on a whole nother genre or part of the game. I mean, and props to them, honestly, because they're not going that safe route, and I really do appreciate it. But at the same time, as a player and as a fan, it is concerning. But I'm looking forward to it, you know. And also look at the details with the signs here. D-Eater, dude. What the fuck? I know what they're trying to say. This is literally trying to... This just sounds so wrong in the West, right? D-Eater, bro. I'm just dead. Like, bro, what the fuck is this? They're trying to say Dream Eater, right? This is a whole Easter egg of Dream Drop Distance, and obviously here, Dream over there. very noticeable. Let's actually move on to the. What I really love about this dark side is how menacing this guy looks. He has wings. He has wings. He's literally more gigantic now. Look at this guy. He straight up looks like a whole freaking Final Fantasy enemy now. A true Final Fantasy enemy. And also, by the way, for detail to the trailer, I like the detail to the trailer. Darkseid literally only appears when Sora is around, so you could technically say like, oh yeah, it's Sora's fault for all of this, but at the same time, yeah, like it's not a Kingdom Hearts game without Darkseid. So I actually do love the detail of how he's in the trailer. Like no matter where you go, Darkseid is gonna be there with Sora. This is so cool. I love this segment of the trailer because of how very first of all, this is like a whole demo showcase, right? A tech demo showcase of what Kingdom Hearts 4 can be like, but it also shows how epic. It shows how Sora is still like a heroic guy. Look at this. Look at this! This is the best scene you could ever think of. Also, I want to put out, right? Okay, so with the Kingdom Hearts series, with their cinematography in this, I mean, throughout the series, their cinematography hasn't been the great in game. They always use like static camera shots, and for those who don't know what static camera shots are basically just literally camera shots that just stay still, right? The frame doesn't move at all, but everything else within the frame moves, and it doesn't feel as authentic or natural in some certain scenes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and with how people do it in throughout the series, it just doesn't look as appealing in the cutscenes. And I hope this whole trailer isn't just for show, and it actually does it for the game. I hope they really focus for in-game cinematography, because I really do appreciate it. That's what I really love about the Yakuza series, of how the cinematography in the game is great, you know, and the dynamic camera shots in Yakuza, or in any like video game, like such as like Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's really good. And they did it here in the trailer, right? Because this is all in-game cutscenes, and it's just really cool. The dynamic camera shots, I always love that. It gives a great vibe to the viewer, and it makes things like seem more engaging. You know, look how many camera shots they just did just to show Darkseid, and the build up to it. Like it just wasn't one whole. It just wasn't this whole one static camera shot that was in an awkward angle. They showed multiple camera angles, and they also panned the camera of where they're focusing at. Especially when they show Sora running through the crowd, that was like the most epic thing here. Look at how great this is. Especially him summoning his Keyblade, that's the best. Alright, let's talk about the gameplay. Let's play this whole segment. Look at this, this is just so sick. That looks like a QTE. Yeah, we're just watching it just to check out of like how this works, of how this is gonna go. You see how like these dynamic camera shots are so good? You see how it's so good when they actually try to work on the cinematography of this? This was just so epic. So pretty much it ends up here, and then story-wise, I have no idea how Master Master sounds in Japanese. One of them could be Master Masters, and one of them could be Lushu. One of them could be maybe Luke Sword. You never know. I don't know. Maybe it could just be a whole new character. Apparently, from what I read on Twitter, though, that Nomura said, it was reported that Nomura said that the person narrating throughout this whole trailer, apparently we know him. So it's either Master Masters or whoever, you know. And it cuts into the new logo. Also, why this Kingdom Hearts game may be different from the rest is, look at the font. It kind of looks very serious. This may be a darker game. Maybe the vibe of this new saga may be completely different compared to the Dark Seeker saga. I hope it's actually different. It will be nice for a change, but also it is a very concerning thing to be worried about, because a lot of stuff may change that you may like. But at the same time, I think it's important to realize that you never know. You may never know. You may be into whatever they may offer, because it's always nice to be open to like new stuff. You just never know. So let's go hop into the gameplay. Okay, so early this morning, I said this looks like a whole tech demo, and I still generally feel like this is a whole tech demo. I'm not saying that this isn't real, because this is obviously this could happen. Literally, this whole thing could happen, because if Horizon Zero Dawn, if Final Fantasy VII Remake looked so good, I'm pretty sure Kingdom Hearts could look the same as well, right? But I feel like since we're still so early in development with this game, well, then again, it's only been, if let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if they actually worked on the game after Kingdom Hearts Remind or after Kingdom Hearts 3, it has been about 3 years since its release, and I feel like maybe, yeah, they honestly didn't enough time. They made enough time to create this. This definitely gives me the vibes, especially with the whole HUD. This gives the exact same vibes of what literally the reveal trailer Kingdom Hearts 3 back in 2013. Almost, wow, it's been 9 years. It's almost been a whole decade. Oh my god, that's insane to think about it. But this gives the same vibes of what we just saw from this little tech demo that what Kingdom Hearts 3 showed for 2013. Of how very look cinematic, such a different game, great graphics on here, right? There's parkour in here, and he's jumping on the freaking wave of Heartless and stuff, right? The Demon Tower, and shows all this stuff. Now, obviously, all these things, they did not come into play. This was never a thing in Kingdom Hearts 3, unfortunately. I thought it would have been epic if they did. But it seems that this is a whole different case, though. I think that's the important thing to note. Is that this is a whole different scenario now, right? Because Team Osaka is such an experienced team now, since they fully developed Kingdom Hearts 3 and very experienced with the Unreal Engine. This was the time. This was on the Luminous engine. They were having trouble, and then they had to redo everything with the Unreal Engine, and they had to relearn or learn how to use the Unreal Engine. So there was a lot of process on creating Kingdom Hearts 3 to this, right? So they probably couldn't do what they could have wanted to do, or what they wanted to plan for this game. But it seems that, like, with here, seeing the whole parkour stuff, it seems that they did not give up on that. They are continuing it for this game, and they're keeping the flow motion, and apparently there's new mobility options of using the grappling hook. And look, what's so cool about this is that literally Sora's Keyblade now has a freaking keychain of where he slingshots like Spider-Man to other stuff. You see? The end of his key could hit the freaking street lamp and to the car. This is just insane of how cool the game is. With Kingdom Hearts 3, what I really did love about that game is the mobility options we had. There was air stepping, there was flow motion. I wasn't a big fan of the flow motion stuff in that game particularly, so I always turned it off. There was definitely some little bit parkour aspects in the game where you're running up walls and you're running side to side of the walls, and it seems that they want to keep the parkour aspect in Kingdom Hearts because it was always showcased in the 2013 trailer, and literally a decade later we're here and we're still seeing more parkour from Sora. But I hope things are completely different now, because now that they're more experienced and now that it seems that the development of Kingdom Hearts is actually going well, with Kingdom Hearts 4 to be exact, it's going well. I hope these things are actually real, right? It looks very snappy of how the parkour is. See, like you're running up the walls and stuff, and you're sliding and you're just jumping. He's doing so many flips in this trailer, you wouldn't even know. Like, he did more flips than Tony Hawk in the freaking in the X Sports. I think it's interesting, and I hope they execute the parkour aspect of the game right, because in Kingdom Hearts 3 the wall running and a little bit the parkour stuff was a little weird in that game. It was kind of clunky, which I didn't really enjoy. But again, I hope this actually goes right this time and goes like, and everything works out within their vision. And I hope things are really more snappy with its movement, because I think that was the problem with some people of how Kingdom Hearts 3 was a floaty game to some people. And honestly, I didn't notice the floatiness until I played the Remind DLC for the data battles. But yeah, like I hope things work out well. Now over here, I honestly think, so here you would think, oh, this is a Keyblade transformation, same what we saw from Kingdom Hearts 3, and he does this drill attack, which is a very similar Keyblade transformation he does in with the Toy Story Keyblade. But here it looks completely different. This could be like a shot lock or maybe a special move in the game. I have no idea. I don't know if they're reinventing the combat system for this game, particularly for the new saga. I have no idea. So it's going to be interesting. If they actually have a whole new combat system, I think I'll be really much more intrigued in this game than ever before. And if, obviously, I hope it does play out well. And here, this could honestly also be like a scripted segment, because like here, he's doing this attack, but it seems like it's going to be like a QTE for this. You see how there's like a little pause in the middle? I feel like the button prompt will be there. Because there was definitely QTEs in Kingdom Hearts 3 and also other Kingdom Hearts games. So yeah, I don't know if he's actually gonna. Most likely he will have drive forms, right, or Keyblade transformations. But I just wonder how they will be executed in the game. And also, I want to put out. So as you see here, in the command menu, someone commented this on Twitter. So we're going back to Audrey's Twitter, and she said, in the Cage 4 trailer, in the battle commands menu, the last one says build. What do you suppose that means for the battle system? Now, obviously, everyone's making Fortnite memes, right? Fortnite building walked so Cage 4 building could run. I love that so much. But it's interesting of how there's different new commands. Now, typically, in early development of Kingdom Hearts, they obviously leave the HUD very empty. They leave the HUD very empty in this game. Like there's really no meaning in big meaning to the HUD, because it could always change, because that's what happened with Kingdom Hearts 3. But this is the first time we actually saw like a thing called build in the command menu. So I'm very curious on what this is. I honestly have no clue. So comment below how you guys feel about this whole build battle system or command it has in the menu. It's interesting. So I wonder if they're actually reinventing the whole combat system in Kingdom Hearts 4. But yeah, like, as a fan, personally, I am concerned on some stuff, but at the same time, I am very excited again. Like, it feels like they really, it seems like they just don't want to let go of the ideas they had like 10 years ago, and I respect that because they want to perfect it and do it right. Because I felt like maybe they're like, yeah, maybe we could do this way better than before. So maybe in Kingdom Hearts 4 we could do it since we have the technology for it, and I hope that's the case. I think I said a lot of what I personally needed to say about this whole announcement trailer, because there's just for a lot to for a few minutes in a trailer there was actually a lot for me to talk about. I hope you guys actually enjoyed this video. Remember, drop a like and subscribe. I really do hope you guys look forward to future Kingdom Hearts content. And apparently, we're not going to see any Kingdom Hearts news anytime in the future. So I hope we see this game actually release around 2024, maybe 2023. That's just having big hopes, but big high hopes. But like, I feel like we're gonna see this game in 2024 or 2025, because yeah, definitely this game, the fact that it's in development and we're not waiting for a long time compared to the gap of Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 2 to Kingdom Hearts 3 is insane. I'm really happy of how this is gonna be like. And again, I have nothing else to say about the combat because I don't know like how the true combat is really gonna be like. But again, I hope the combat feels more snappy, just like how Kingdom Hearts 2 was, but also has that Kingdom Hearts 3 feeling with the movement. The movement in Kingdom Hearts 3 is really good, and hopefully the parkour stuff does things right. But I want to talk about, like, I probably may talk about this in a future video about the open world, but I hope they really do take their time with the open world aspect of things, especially with how the reception of like Breath of the Wild got and Elden Ring got. Dude, like, if they plan to make an open world experience, it gotta be it has to be good at this point, you know? Like, there's so much high expectations for open world genres. But they could also make it like Yakuza. Yakuza's an open level game. It's presented as an open world game, but in reality, technically it's an open level game. Like, the map isn't huge, but it's still compact, and you can interact with a lot of stuff. It still feels lively, and if they're able to make it at least like in a very detailed open level world like Yakuza, then I'm all in for it. Yeah, I might make like a whole separate video of how open world Kingdom Hearts may be like. Alright, hope you guys actually look forward to that. Alright everyone, peace off, have a good night, and I have to edit this video. Remember to drop a like, subscribe for more future Kingdom Hearts content, may your heart be your guiding key.